Have you ever had a prospect tell you on the phone, "Oh, I'd love to work with you, but I just can't afford it right now"? If you've ever dealt with that, then I'm going to share some mindset shifts and specific things you can use in your calls to change that situation from a no into a yes. All right, guys, what's up? Yuri, Elkaim here, CEO and founder of Healthpreneur. We help health professionals and coaches get more clients and scale their businesses online without the grind. And the reality is, if you're working in a service providing ecosystem of which is what health professionals do, unless you're selling products, which is not what, that's not our jam. You're going to have to speak with people. You're going to have to speak with people, call it a sales call, discovery call, enrollment call, whatever you want to call it, okay? And you have to, and I've talked about this a million times, you have to build the skill of being able to influence other people. Now, the good news is that we're always influencing people in the direction that's always going to be best for them, not for us, not for you, okay? So your job really is not to pressure someone into buying. It's not to, get them to work with you at all costs. It's to help them understand that your job is to help them get clarity and make a decision around what's best for them. And if it just so happens that working with you is the best option for them, then you have to be okay with doing whatever you possibly can to get them to say yes. Now, obviously, there are people out there, many people, perhaps even you, who've used "I can't afford it" or "it's too expensive" before. And that's fine. We've all done that in some way, in some way, shape, or form. And the thing I want you to understand is that price is contextual, it's relative. And your job, part of your job is not just about working with your clients. You have to get good at selling. And selling, and I've mentioned this 999,000 times, selling is serving. Selling is the first step in transformation. Because if someone doesn't work with you, they're not getting the results. Let's just be very honest. So when I was starting off many years ago as a trainer, I was terrible at sales. So I'd have a consult with someone and they're like, "This sounds great. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in shape first and then I'm going to work with you." And I was like, "Okay, that makes sense." And that's ridiculous. You're going to get in shape. You're going to do the very thing that you need to hire me to do, right? We get into all these kind of weird convoluted ways of thinking and it doesn't work. So if someone's telling you they can't afford it, now understand that the money is not ever the real issue. And I'm not saying we're only working with people who have the financial means and they're in the 1% of the top wealthiest people. That's not what this is about, okay? It's about helping people understand the value as it pertains to what's important to them. So you buy a book for 20 bucks, you get book type of results. No one's transforming their life from a book. You might get one idea, you finish the book or not. Most people don't even finish reading the book. And the reason for that is because the less people pay, the less they pay attention. So if your goal is to fundamentally impact people's lives in a positive way, it's a disservice to your market to sell stuff for the cheap. And one of the questions I'm starting to ask my team every morning is, what's one thing you did yesterday that positively impacted someone's life? And that might have been an enrollment call where the person did not decide to work with us or we decided not to work with them, but in that conversation gave them clarity about how they could do things a little bit differently. That's positively impacting someone's life. And when you constantly reinforce, what am I doing on a daily basis to make people's lives better? It reinforces that behavior. I mean, hopefully these videos are helpful for you. I really enjoy doing them. There might be one thing that you're like, man, that was, it sticks in your head, right? And that's the goal of what we're here to do. So if someone is telling you they can't afford it, you have to understand that that's not the real issue. The real issue most often is, I don't believe this is going to work for me, or I truly don't want this thing that I say that I want. Well, let's just say that they do, and they're like, well, it's too expensive. Okay, so there's a couple of reframes you can think about. Number one, you can just ask them, expensive compared to what? Because remember, price is contextual. So if, I just have these headphones. Okay, so I've got a pair of headphones here, Tozo 6, they're pretty good. And I said, $3,000 for these headphones. You're like, you crazy, dude? I'm like, why am I crazy? They're like, that's a lot of money. Okay, cool. Relative to what? Well, relative to the headphones I bought on Amazon for 50 bucks. Okay, fair enough. So if someone says, let's say your program's $3,000, and they're like, that's a lot of money. Okay, cool. Compared to what? Well, like I hired a trainer for 100 bucks, did a couple sessions, and I didn't get results. Oh, okay. So you hired a trainer for a couple sessions, you paid a couple $100 and you didn't get results. Would it be fair to say you'd probably get better results if you stayed with that trainer longer? Yeah. So we can literally mathematically break down, okay, if you paid $100 an hour and you did 30 sessions, that would be the same price. So then it comes back down to, what don't you believe about what I'm doing here to get you better results? Remember, it's all going to come back when you use logic in the quote unquote close. Most often it comes back to them dealing with their own issues, or the very fact that they don't believe your solution can work for them. So $3,000 is a lot. Relative to what? A book that I bought, a course that I bought in the past. Oh, cool. Like, do you understand that you paid $200 for a course and you had no support, you had no coaching, you had no one checking in with you? Do you see why it may not have worked? Huh. Do you see why this is priced the way it is? Yeah, like I get support pretty much on demand. You're with me every step of the way, Yeah, awesome. Well, would this be a lot of money compared to a house? If I were offering you a house for $3,000, would you buy it? Like, oh my God, for sure. You would? Why? Well, because it's a house. So what does that mean? You're not willing to take care of the most important house you have? Your own temple? Huh, didn't think of it that way. So the one thing I want to leave you with today, and I'm not going to, like, there's a lot of ways to handle this stuff, okay? But the one thing I want you to think about when you're dealing with people who say that they can't afford it is you have to help them reframe using relativity or context so they don't see your thing as expensive. If you're introducing your thing at a specific price in isolation, then obviously it's either expensive or it's not expensive, depending on who you're speaking with, right? But, you know, everything in life is relative. So if my kids are like, how long are we gonna go for a drive for? I don't know, an hour. Oh, they're like, oh my God, that's so long. Really? Because you're on a 25-hour plane ride to Australia. Is it long compared to that? Well, that's like 25 hours. That's really long. Is it relative to the flight to the moon or to Mars? So like, I mean, there's always ways that we can make it relative, right? But I think it's important to think about how you can use what it is you're doing, what it is you're offering, no matter the price, and help people see that relative to other options, it's the cheapest thing they're ever going to buy, right? This might be more expensive, but it's 10 times cheaper than anything else you've done. This might be more expensive than every other option out there, but it's still the best deal in town. Why? Because it works. See, the most expensive option is usually the cheapest, because when it's the cheapest, you're the least invested, and when you're the least invested, you don't do the work, which means you don't get the results. So usually the most expensive option is the cheapest option. So the question I have to you is this: are you looking for the best value or the cheapest price? If they're looking for cheapest price, well, thank you for your time, but this isn't a fit. If you're looking for best value, how do we make this happen? Cool. Anyways, if this has been helpful for you, let me know in the comments below. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Got tons of other videos to help you help more people and grow your health business online. Thanks, guys. Have an awesome day.